In general, people will do the right thing if they know what the right thing is to do. So training is great because one, it creates awareness around something that someone might not be aware of. And two, gives them information on, okay, this is how you can do this. This is what you would need to do in order to make sure something was safe or appropriate. And more importantly, this is why you need to do this, because it's one thing to tell somebody about something, and it's another thing for them to understand why. And the why is so important.
You're listening to Food Tech Talk, Supply Chain Insights from Farm to Fork, a podcast discussing the latest trends and technologies in the food and supplements industries, brought to you by Trustwell, featuring conversations with regulatory experts, quality and safety champions, and thought leaders across the industry. I'm your host, Lydia Adams, VP of Marketing at Trustwell. If you're loving the conversation, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned to the end of the episode where you'll hear our guests tell us their key food industry predictions for 2025. All right, let's jump right in. On today's episode of Food Tech Talk, Supply Chain Insights from Farm to Fork, we're delighted to welcome Kate Piche, Senior Director of Food Safety and Regulatory Services at the National Restaurant Association. With a career spanning more than 2 decades in advancing food safety, regulatory compliance, and traceability, Kate has been at the forefront of helping restaurants adopt future-ready food safety practices. And today, we'll explore how technology, data, and culture are transforming the way that restaurants ensure safe and transparent dining experiences. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Thanks so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. So I know that you've spent 2 decades really helping the restaurant industry navigate these challenges, and you've seen a lot change. So if you can take us back to the beginning and tell us what got you into this career path and kind of where you went from there.
So it's interesting. This was my first job right out of college, and I had a degree in political science. And when I started at the National Restaurant Association, I was in a job that had absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with political science. But what really pulled me in was the people. Restaurant people are some of the most creative, fun, caring, generous people I've ever met. And it was so much fun to be able to do things to help support them. And in working with industry and with regulatory to try to find solutions that could advance food safety and make things safer for all of us, that was wonderful too. But I really have to take it back to, it was the people. I mean, nowhere else in the world can you start out as a server and then end up as president or CEO of the organization. So just being able to support people who are pursuing their dreams and being able to apply my talents to be able to help them do that is really what attracted me to the industry.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love this industry because of the people and just that drive that we have for advancement and the transparency. So talk to me a little bit about, in your career, really, how have you seen the restaurant industry evolve in terms of food safety, traceability, and those sorts of things?
So I've been with the National Restaurant Association for 30 years, which is a long time. And I've always been on a side of the business that was involved in training and testing and supporting the ServSafe brand. And when I started out, some restaurants were doing food safety training and testing, but some were not. And nowadays, everyone does it. It's like a minimum requirement. Everybody has food safety training they're providing to their staff. It's so critical for protecting their businesses, the public health, the people who come in our doors. We want to know that we're doing every amount of due diligence to keep them safe, make sure our staff knows what they need to do in order to do that. So it's gone from some people were doing it to everybody does it. It's a bare minimum requirement, and ServSafe training and certification helps them do it. There's probably 3 other things that I've seen that have changed. So when I first started, there was no such thing as National Food Safety Education Month, and we created that in 1994. And every September, industry and regulators help celebrate National Food Safety Education Month. We provide free resources for them to do that on a website. This year, we have this really cool, fun, Wild West food safety outlaw theme, because sometimes food safety doesn't change that much, but you want to make it fun, you want to make it engaging, and you want to help people remember how important it is to do tasks every day and protect people. So having that information available to people is awesome. Another big change is food allergen awareness. Food allergies in society have become so much more prevalent. And so we've been doing a lot to educate people on what are the major food allergens, what should you do if somebody tells you that they have a food allergy, and hey, if you're coming into our restaurants and you have a food allergy, please let us know so that people can tell you how they can accommodate that. So that's a pretty big thing. And then last, of course, traceability. The FDA's traceability rule being able to track food from farm to fork. Who knew it was so complex? I didn't. When I first said this, so how complicated could this be? But it's the newest requirement. A lot of the chains are most of the way through being able to do it. Some people are still working on some details, but some of the smaller restaurants, they don't even know this is coming. They do not know that this rule exists. So we've created a restaurant traceability flyer. And we're using our partnerships with our state restaurant associations and the Association of Food and Drug Officials and state and local health departments to be able to get this flyer to some of the smaller restaurants so they can be aware of this rule and what they need to comply. Also, we're really grateful for the extension on the date for the food traceability rule to July 20th, 2028. That way, people who were not aware of it will still have time to comply, and we have a little bit more time to figure out some things that we're still working.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that we're talking in September. That's perfect. So it's great to hear what you guys are doing in terms of educating the industry. And I love that. Talk to me a little bit about multi-location restaurants and some of the challenges that you've seen, particularly as we have some more time, but as we go into FSMA 204 and we're trying to increase traceability, how can they get there?
One of the biggest challenges that we saw is that some of your smaller restaurants still using more paper records and systems, and the timeline to get information to the FDA being about 24 hours, that's really short. And so we're really recommending that everyone has a digital storage system. We have a restaurant traceability resources page. We worked really hard on it. It's got a guidance document, but it also had that kind of walks you through what are the rule requirements, what do you need to do. Has a great FAQ section. So if you have questions and you just need a simple answer, it's right there. But also we provide different examples of how here's a sample traceability plan. This is what it looks like. So hopefully it feels a little bit more accessible to, yes, okay, I see what this is. I can do it too. But one of the cool things we did is we walked through how can you set up a real simple digital storage system. And we showed how can you create a digital copy of a paper document and be able to store and share that in like a digital system. The other big aspect is who's going to keep your traceability data? Like you could choose to keep it yourself. Some of the bigger chains, it's like, okay, I have to decide. Are my individual restaurant locations going to keep this data? Or am I at corporate headquarters going to keep this data for all of my locations? So that's an interesting thing to figure out. And I would also say for the smaller to mid-size, maybe you don't want to create your own digital storage system. Maybe that feels very complex to you. So maybe you would prefer to have your suppliers keep this information for you. And you just need to keep track of how do I get this information from the suppliers should I need it.
Introducing Ask Reg by Trustwell, your AI-powered regulatory assistant from food safety to nutritional labeling. Get fast, accurate answers backed by verified sources across the US, Canada, EU, and more. Just $299 per year and get 25% off with code podcast25. To claim your discount, visit the link in the show notes. Yeah, and I think you are absolutely right that going from, like kind of that paper system and moving forward is great. It's also it can be a challenge. So what technologies are you seeing that are really advancing the ability for restaurants to maintain that traceability data?
It does come down to, is somebody going to store it for you? If they are, great. You just need to know your login to be able to access the system or know that they can be able to give that information to you in 24 hours or less, because you don't want to stop your normal business operations to be doing that sort of thing. But you do want to be able to, if you want to store it yourself, you got to train your staff. You have to have a system that can do it. You just have to find something that's going to work for you. In some instances, that's going to be a custom solution. In other instances, maybe there's an app or something like that you can use, or a combination of these things. But it's going to come down to, can you find something that's going to make easy for you to do what you need to do every day? You don't want to disrupt any of your operations. Automated solutions, things where you can simply scan something and have it record all the information you need and be able to store it for you in a way where you can easily find it afterwards. If the FDA comes to your door and says, I need this data in 24 hours, you don't want to have to stop everything you're doing to be able to take care of your restaurant and your business and your customers. You want to be able to quickly be able to find what you need and get it to them. So we need things that are affordable, we need things that are fast, and we need things that are easy to use. If it looks like it's too complicated, then it probably is too complicated. Restaurants are in the business of serving food and creating enjoyable experience for customers. They want to, of course, always be compliant with every rule or regulation, but we don't want to create things that make it more complicated for people to do business.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And so I think about kind of the benefits of going through this exercise of getting your data stored. And one of them is really being able to proactively prevent any kind of food safety incident. So, how are you educating restaurants on that and marrying the regulation and the rule and all of these things that they have to be compliant, but also sharing how they can then just use that data to be ahead of any kind of food safety incident?
Yeah. So some of the things that a technology can do for you, if you have that kind of system, is it can help identify patterns in supplier performance. So you can see what's going on there. It can help you in product recall solutions, be able to situations. It can help you be able to know what's been recalled, know where it's at, know how to pull it out. It can help you pinpoint what product might be involved in some kind of foodborne illness outbreak. And it also can really help enhance allergen management and labeling to be a little bit more accurate. So those are some of the things that it can do for sure.
And I'm glad you mentioned allergens. I feel like lately when I go to, any restaurant, it's like, oh, do you have any allergies? Do you have any allergies? And that used to not be the case. So talk to me about kind of the evolution of that and how restaurants are really adopting and seeing the importance of allergen management.
There's millions of people who have food allergies. We had to start with educating people on, hey, millions of people have food allergies. And it's not even just the people who have food allergies, it's their families as well. You want to feel safe if you're going out to a restaurant to know that that member of your family that has a food allergy is also going to be safe. That's a really important thing. And that's an opportunity for you to have people come into your business that might not otherwise come into your business because they're worried or concerned about that member of their family who has a food allergy. So one, be aware of what food allergies are. There's been some great posters that have been created that kind of alert and keep top of mind. These are the major food allergies. If somebody has an allergic reaction, this is what you need to do. There's been some signs related to, hey, if just a reminder, if you have a food allergy, please let us know. Then it's also important that people are trained and to know what to do if someone has a food allergy and to understand it's really serious. It's not like just, I don't like, wheat. It's that this is actually really harmful to me. If you don't have a food allergy, you might not know about what kind of impact that is. So education's been important. I would also say that the ones who have really invested in making it as safe as possible for people to eat out, there are like whole sites and like devoted groups of followers who are like, I will go to these restaurants because I know that they take food allergen management really seriously. And I feel safer. I feel safe to be able to go out to eat with these groups who have really invested and really take this seriously. And I know they take it seriously. I see it in everything. So there's also been, you can sometimes scan a code when you go up to look at a menu, and allergen information is on people's websites. And if you get somebody who's very knowledgeable and people who have trained their staff well, somebody can take you through verbally and explain to you it's safe for you to eat this. This one has this, and it wouldn't be as safe for you to eat. Those kinds of things are great too. So everybody as a consumer comes into a restaurant maybe with different wants or needs, but we want to make sure that anybody who comes into a restaurant feels like it's safe to eat there and it's an enjoyable experience for the entire family.
I agree. And I think the consumers often move us forward in this industry. And as you get reviews from people that are like, hey, I really appreciated their attention to the details of allergens, like it has a huge business impact as well as, obviously doing the right thing. But I'm loving that change that I'm seeing. And as you mentioned, just kind of all the different ways that restaurants are ensuring that they're not giving food to somebody that has an allergy. So it's really cool to see that. And you mentioned training, and I think training is kind of across the board for everything within restaurants. So what role does really training play in the success of food safety initiatives and programs and really like everything that the restaurant is trying to achieve?
It's so important. I think in general, people will do the right thing if they know what the right thing is to do. So training is great because one, it creates awareness around something that someone might not be aware of. And two, gives them information on, okay, this is how you can do this. This is what you would need to do in order to make sure something was safe or appropriate, or this might be one of the better ways to do this. And more importantly, this is why you need to do this, because it's one thing to tell somebody about something, and it's another thing for them to understand why. And the why is so important. And you really have to invest in people. You have to make sure that they have the skills and the abilities and the knowledge to be able to do everything that they're doing. And so Best way to do that is training. If you say, okay, I'm going to put this law or regulation in place, but nobody knows anything about what they would need to do in order to be compliant with it, that's really not going to be that great. It's not going to be successful because people have to have knowledge about allergen awareness or food safety in order to be able to do the right things and keep people safe. And there's not a person who goes into business as a restaurant who wants to do anything other than be of service to their community, create a wonderful experience. There's not anybody who goes into it and is like not wanting to do the right thing, create a situation where anyone would be harmed. That's absolutely not anything that anyone would want to happen. So training helps make sure that people know what they need to do, protects the consumers, protects the staff, protects the establishment. So it just makes sense.
There's so many ways to go about a training program, but have you seen where technology can kind of complement the human element of training, and how can restaurants incorporate those two things? Because I think sometimes you think like people and technology are not together, but if you can bring them together for like a training program, it can make a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. So I did a presentation in July at the table, which is our big event for our restaurant members. And I was sharing with them some future-ready technology solutions. And so it was everything from like AI to drones to sensors to pizza vending machines. It was like all sorts of really cool air drone delivery of like fast food to your house. I mean, it was all really cool stuff. And it's probably some of the coolest stuff I've seen or like AI-enabled tools. They can, by video, I guess, monitor everything from, okay, did you put the right ingredients in that food, to sensors that could say, hey, this is not in the right temperature anymore, or it's really humid in here. They have like little drone AI things that can go and check your inventory and see if something has expired. So they can do AI data crunching. They can look at like trends with food, with any type of illness in a community, and recognize that those types of things are in play, and maybe tell you need to up your cleaning regimens in a certain way in order to prevent a situation in your establishments. And the neat thing about it is it can also do things like, okay, it's time to clean the restroom and send an alert for that. There's all sorts of things that it's monitoring for, and it can send reminders to staff. But that only works if the staff knows how to use the technology and they feel comfortable with what it's doing.
And those are some awesome examples of AI and how it's being used in the industry. So how close do you really think we are to restaurants being able to have more of a predictive food safety model using AI? And what other advancements do you see on the horizon?
So the interesting thing is we're really kind of in the pilot stages on this. We're not, I wouldn't say everybody's got it rolled out everywhere. We certainly have seen, like, Wendy's has a burger flipping drone. Denny's has like a dishwashing machine. Wendy's is experimenting with DoorDash as it relates to delivering food by air drone. So you see a lot of different things, but people are kind of in the pilot stages. And I think it's because financially, a lot of these things are not where they need to be in order to be an affordable solution that restaurants can implement. There's also concerns about whoever you're partnering with. You want to know they're going to be in business for a while, that they're going to be upgrading whatever they're giving you, and they're going to be able to fix it if it breaks. And that it doesn't matter if it breaks in a small town or a bigger city, it could be fixed right away. And to know that that's something that can happen. So I think a lot of it is having it be affordable. There's a little bit of fear too. People are worried, like, is technology going to replace my job? There have been examples where people are experimenting with like people-free, like all technology restaurants, if you will. And so there's a fear factor to that. But, we are an industry of people, and there are certain things that people can do that no matter how wonderful the technology is, it can't do everything. You need people to make decisions. You need people who can make sure it's running effectively, safely. And there's just some situations that a robot or a system is just not going to have an answer to. It can answer all your basic questions, but I can't tell you how many times I would call a customer service thing and there's all those automated, those different options and prompts. And it's like, yes, I have a situation in which none of those prompts will help me. And I need a genuine human being to help me. And that'll be the case no matter what. But if there are ways for technology to help us with stuff that maybe we don't like data crunching so much. Maybe we don't like washing dishes. Maybe we don't want to clean the floor, but we want a clean floor, we want clean dishes, and we want that data. So if technology can help us with some of the stuff that maybe we don't like to do so much, so we can focus on the stuff we do find more enjoyable. I think that's important. And the entire time I've been helping this industry, we have staff shortages. So if this can help us with our ongoing challenge of having enough people to do what we need to do by maybe having some technology to do things that maybe we don't have people for, and we can utilize our people in a way where we're delivering a better customer experience, we're delivering a better staff employee experience, people are getting to do more of what they enjoy and less of what they don't, then I think that's a real win.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you look ahead, let's say 5 to 10 years from now, really, what do you see as that future ready food safety culture in a restaurant? And what advice do you have for restaurants who are trying to future proof looking ahead, a decade?
So you got to be proactive. Don't be afraid of talking to people who are coming out with new inventions or new technology. Have those conversations. If there's something you can do in your conversation that makes sure that the solution they're creating is something that you can use, addresses food safety concerns, or can be used to address food safety concerns, even if that inventor wasn't thinking initially that that was what their technologies was going to do, that's important. So it's important to be proactive. You got to stay on top of what you think your issues will be and start taking steps to address those issues before they become true problems. You can use predictive and analytics and early warning systems to do that. You can use technology to alert staff to any issues and set reminders about critical food safety tasks. I think it's important to be transparent. We saw this fantastic presentation through the Partnership for Food Traceability about using smart labels with QR codes. And that was the coolest thing ever. But there's a real barrier to being able to implement that. Not everybody can afford the QR scanners and the software upgrades that would be needed for it. But wouldn't it be great if we could? Because then you could share information about all the traceability stuff. You could share allergen information, nutrition information, sustainability information, and you'd have that information available to your entire staff, and it could be available to consumers too. So that would be awesome. And then we need to be collaborative. One of our biggest challenges right now as it relates to traceability is everybody has their own unique systems and they don't all talk to one another. They call that interoperability, which I think is a very fancy word. I like to think that it is being able to share information with each other in a consistent way. And we're not there yet. But if we could, just imagine how much more line of sight we could have to issues and being able to address them. And then we really just need things that are inclusive, meaning they are affordable and accessible to operations of all sizes.
I love that. I think you're absolutely right. And it's exciting to think ahead of what's possible really across the industry. And this has been a pretty big year, I think, just for the industry overall and for food safety. And we talked about, FSMA 204 and the delay. What is your real prediction, or what do you see closing out this year? Or anything new that you think is going to come up in the next few months?
I think we're going to see a lot more acceleration with AI. I mean, everybody has such a great interest in AI and how it can be used. And so I see more AI adoption for restaurants, especially in the areas of food safety and customer experience. I think being able to have something that can answer some questions, be able to help your staff with certain things. I think everybody's trying to figure out, how can I use AI in my business? And restaurants absolutely are doing that. And they're always very creative with whatever they come up with. I remember some of the things they did in the pandemic were really, really amazing. It's like, okay, wow, where did you come up with this idea? But fabulous, it's working. And I just think they're going to come up with some really cool ways of how they can use AI to enhance their operations and their businesses and help make for an even more awesome customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. These folks are super creative. So I'm excited to see what they come up with. So just a couple final questions for you, really, as you think kind of big picture. If there could be just one change that you could implement across the industry, what would that be?
I was so impressed with that smart label presentation. I would really love for us to find a way, I don't know if it's through a law, regulation, or something that would allow it to be more affordable for more people to be able to have the QR code scanners and be able to do the software upgrades. Maybe there'd be a tax break or something for that. I don't know, but something that would enable farm to fork be able to implement a solution like that, because it would just be so amazing and helpful for us to be able to share information from supplier to supplier and to consumers as well. So I think that's the solution of the future. If I was like going for a good, better, best, I would want to do that. But right now we're using more basic level scanners and software. And I think we need to be able to implement that future state solution. And I think we need to be able to make it more affordable and easy for people to do that.
And, as a veteran of the industry, what advice would you give to kind of the next generation of people coming in and food safety leaders? How should they approach their career and what advice do you have for them?
I'm going to bring it back to what first attracted me to this industry is that it's all about people. Embrace new technology, but don't lose sight of the human element because really food safety is all about protecting people. It's important to build relationships with other people in the industry who are food safety experts, quality assurance experts. Participate in your state or your national association or other associations that are related to your industry to help you network and make more friends and more connections with people in the industry. Make good relationships with your regulators. You don't want the first time that you're working with a regulator to be when you have a problem. You want to already have built a relationship and already be ahead of the game in terms of understanding what requirements need to be met or what kind of issues you might have and be able to troubleshoot those. So building those connections with people, networking, doing all of that, that's really important. And then I would just say, stay curious and informed. Regulations and tools can evolve really fast. And it's better to have some conversations with people about the new things that are coming along before they're implemented, because your voice is important. There is nothing better than being able to have a restaurant or somebody who is involved in the process and living it every day tell somebody, hey, this is the impact that your new law or your new regulation will have. Or, hey, your invention is great. Could it do this and this? You don't want to have your restaurant purchase a technology and have it come in and then you have a bunch of food safety concerns with it. You want to know that those food safety concerns were already considered, because it's a lot easier to have it come in with that already built in than to try to retrofit it. So it's about people. So that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I love that. And, throughout this whole conversation, you have mentioned several resources that the National Restaurant Association has. So how can people get to those resources? What's your website and anything that we should be looking out for, events or new resources coming out?
Yeah, so we have a food traceability page on the National Restaurant Association website, which is www.restaurant.org. But literally, you can type in National Restaurant Association traceability. It will come up immediately. And so that has all the great resources that you would need about traceability. September is Food Safety Education Month. So definitely you could, again, go to our ServSafe website, which is www.servsafe.com, and type in National Food Safety Education Month, or you can type in National Restaurant Association ServSafe National Food Safety Education Month. It will bring it up as well. So if you're able to participate in that, they have weekly activities for you to do with your team, and it's all free. So please take advantage.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. And thanks, Kate, for coming on the show. It's been really great to hear your perspective and, speak to someone who's been doing this for quite a while and has that great insight. So really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being able to talk with you and share some of this information with everyone.
Thank you for joining us for another bite-sized nugget of Food Tech Talk, supply chain insights from farm to fork. Make sure to subscribe. And if you love the podcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about Trustwell and request your free demo of our technology platform that connects food formulation, products, nutrition analysis, and compliant labeling with traceability, recall readiness, and supply chain transparency, please visit us at www.trustwell.com and click Get Started or click the link in the show notes to learn more. Thanks for listening.